What does vitamin C do for the skin?
Well, vitamin C is great for a lot of things, as we know. Really great for your body in general. Vitamin C, you know, generally speaking for the skin, is sort of a natural brightener, evens out skin tone sort of thing. It also is just really great for like skin health, and really great for kind of that glow, you know, like if you're using a vitamin C serum, it's just like your skin's just going to be healthy, maybe a little bit brighter and glowier. So that's kind of like the generally speaking what vitamin C does for the skin.
Next question.
Yeah.
What does hyaluronic acid do?
Hyaluronic. Yeah.
How did I say it? Hyaluronic.
I don't know how you say it.
Hyaluronic
Hyaluronic acid. If you've never heard of hyaluronic acid, I would be surprised because it is very popular.
Buzzword.
It is a buzzword, which is probably why people Google it. So hyaluronic acid is what we call nature's moisturizer. It is a humectant, meaning it... I'm just throwing out all the
It's a
science
humectant.
words.
Right. I got that. Yeah.
It's a humectant. Humectants are what we call hydrophilic. So, meaning it draws water to itself. I'm getting sciencey on you. You asked the question.
Hyaluronic is a humectant. What's a humectant? Humectant is a...
Humectant.
Humectant.
Can't even say anything.
Humectant
Go home,
is a it's just a hydrophilic.
Hydrophilic, if you break that down, the only reason I say that is because if you break it down into like it's, you know, whatever those are called, it makes sense, right? Yeah. Hydro, water, philic, meaning like it likes it or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, it's a humectant, meaning it draws water to itself. It like can bind water to itself. Yeah. So if you think about that, like hyaluronic acid, when you're putting it on your skin, it's just like drawing moisture and kind of locking that moisture into your skin. Yeah, that's what it does. So that's why people love it. It's fantastic. It's a great ingredient in a lot of products. It's just it's a really good, you know, little boost of hydration for your skin.
Which is interesting because I think as like in layman's terms, when I see the word acid on anything, I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that. But
acids, not the case. Same thing with alcohols, right? If you were to see alcohol on a label, you might think like, oh, that's drying. Like burning. Yeah, drying, burning. But there's a lot of alcohols that are actually moisturizers. So it just depends on the product itself, the ingredient itself, I should say.
Just talk to your esthetician if you don't have one.
Or look it up.
Call Max Gabby.
Yes.
Okay, next question. What do glycolic?
Yep.
Glycolic / lactic acid. What do those do?
So I explained this already a little bit with AHAs, right? They're both AHAs. So they help to exfoliate. The difference would be that glycolic acid is a little more intense. A little stronger. Lactic acid is what we call the moisturizing exfoliator or the moisturizing acid. It's like a little more soothing and it's moisturizing instead of drying. So there's different purposes as to why we would use different acids, right? So in exfoliating, there are certain things where we're trying to dry something out in order to make it flake off, right? And then there are times where we're trying to moisturize something. So lactic acid is a really great acid for those with like more sensitive skin, or if like we're really trying to, like they have really dry skin, so we want to moisturize at the same time as we're trying to exfoliate. Lactic acid is great for that. Glycolic acid is really great for like more oily skin types, things for that. Like we really want to dry it out a little bit and like get the stuff off there. So it's a little more intense.
Okay. Oh, good. What is retinol?
Retinol is vitamin A, but you can use a retinol product. It just has vitamin A in it. What it does is retinol is fantastic for fine lines and wrinkles. It's also really good for acne. It was actually developed as an acne treatment, and they figured out in the course of testing it, using it and stuff, like, hey, this is actually helping with fine lines and wrinkles. How weird. So it was actually kind of a accidental discovery for them. But retinol, I always like to say, like, retinol is great. It's a great ingredient and a great product. It can also be very intense. You have to be careful with retinol and how much you're using, what kind you're using, because it can be too intense for some people. Retinol can thin the skin. It's one of the reasons why you may see it on questions if you're going to an esthetician or a dermatologist. Like sometimes
if you use retinol.
Yeah, do you use retinol or retinol product, Retin-A, a derivative? Yes, because if somebody is using a retinol product like Retin-A, like every single day, that is a contraindication, meaning something that we would take into consideration when we're choosing which treatments to do for a lot of intense treatments, you know, because it thins the skin. So it can be a little more damaged. So it's just something to keep in mind. Like, you have to just be careful. Retinol is often given out like candy, especially by like dermatologists and things like that. It's just prescribed here and there, you know, just like, oh, use retinol, like over and over again. But again, it's just one of those things you have to be careful with.
Yeah, everything in moderation.
Yeah. Exactly. Or for different purposes, you know, it's not one size fits all.
Okay, so you would return to this one when we were talking about skincare routines. What does toner do?
Yes, okay. So toner's tricky. A lot of people have this misconception that toner is astringent, right? Like, we used to think of toner, it's like, oh, I need a toner to like put on my pores or put on my, like, if I have acne, I use a toner. Okay, incorrect. A toner in general, like the very, very broad term of a toner is to balance the pH of the skin, really. So toners are used for a lot of different things. You can have an astringent toner that is specific for, you know, for fixing the oil production of the skin. So like my spa line that I use, there's like a salicylic acid toner, which has aloe vera and some great things just for like healing the skin, but also has salicylic acid, so it can kind of help dry it out a little bit, help with acne, like killing bacteria kind of constantly, things like that. But we also have like an aloe vera toner that is specifically for, I would give it to people who have very, very sensitive skin, right? If you're dealing with severe redness and sensitivities, something like our Aloe Essence toner would be great for that. But for me, I rarely give out a toner recommend a toner as part of somebody's skincare. Because I just think in general, it's not super necessary unless you are dealing with a very specific issue, right? Or unless you just really love skincare and want to have all the things.
I don't have toner.
Right. So if I was going to prescribe one to you, I would probably prescribe the antioxidant one, because it is great for fighting free radicals, which are causing that aging, that damage, right? But again, it's not something that I'm like, oh, you have to have a toner, right? And often people are using toner that is like astringent and stuff, and that's going to end up drying you out and maybe causing some problems. So,
wow, we're moving right along. We have 4 left.
I love it.
Oh, here we go. Well, we've kind of already talked about this, but just a basic question people ask on Google: what is a serum?
So the very basic definition of a serum is a highly concentrated bunch of ingredients, basically, in a skincare product. It's the purpose of a serum is to be very, very concentrated, which is why serums are always so dang expensive, right? Like, you always know a serum is going to be more expensive.
Bottle, and you're like,
liquid gold, don't ruin it, don't drop it. But yes, that's the purpose of it, right? It's a very highly concentrated bunch of ingredients in a bottle. So that's why serums tend to be more treatment-based, right? Is it hyaluronic acid? Are you going for moisture? Is it vitamin C? You need that brightening, that glow, maybe some evening of skin tone, you know? Is it a collagen serum, right? We have a collagen serum. It's soluble collagen, so it's going on the skin to kind of help smooth those fine lines and wrinkles from a topical standpoint. So yeah, it's treatment-based, right? And it is highly concentrated, usually more.
Seems like a good thing to have.
Serums are
definitely
serums are fantastic.
No matter what kind of skin type you have, there is a serum for you.
There absolutely is.
What is combination skin?
There's 4 skin types, right? I actually talked about this in my Are You Actually Oily video. Oh, link to that below. Anyways, there's 4 skin types though. We have normal, we have oily, we have dry. Those are fairly intuitive. Straightforward. And then we have combination. So the way that you would figure that out is a lot by pore size, okay? There's other factors and stuff, but pore size is a really good indication for your skin type, okay? So if you are oily, you probably have larger pores or enlarged pores all over your skin, like much larger in your T-zone area, and then even some you could probably see, farther out here. If you are dry, you have basically 0 visible pores on your whole face, right? So even in your T-zone, they're like very minimal.
I don't feel like that, but she says that, so it makes me feel better.
Yeah, I mean, we're always so dramatic about our pore size. Everyone is so dramatic about their dang pore size.
I can see my pores!
I have skin on my face! People, I know. My skin looks like skin, you guys! What do I do?
I put on it to hide the fact that it's
It looks like skin. Seriously, I'm such a big proponent of this. Like now, you know, trust me, we all went through a phase of like face tuning and feeling like we had to compete with all the people that had like porcelain skin. Okay.
We don't have to talk about what.
but pores are normal. You know, they are normal. They're on everybody to some extent. Whether you can visibly see them a lot or not is sort of the varying factor. So yeah, for Chelsea, she has dry skin and always has had dry skin. She has very, like, in her T-zone even, there are very small pores. Like, yeah, you can see them a little bit if you look up close, but they're very minimal. Okay, somebody who has more normal skin may have, like, you know, slightly more visible, like, not big and large pores, but you can see them along the T-zone area, and then they kind of disappear into nothing, like, pretty quickly. That's more normal skin. Combination would be, like, you have larger pores in your T-zone, and then they kind of fade into like either nothing or sort of less prominent pores. Okay. The other thing about combination skin, obviously, all the skin types is going to be oil production, right? That's what we're looking at. So for somebody, let's say like Chelsea, who has dry skin and always has been, she's always dealt with dryness, right? She's never been oily. She's never had oil production problems. She has like dry patches and things like that we deal with. Whereas somebody who's oily, you're always dealing with oil production, things like that. With combination, you're probably feeling that oiliness in the T-zone area specifically. So maybe you get a little shiny on your nose and your forehead, maybe your chin, and that's kind of it. Maybe you're not like, you know, it's not like out here, you're super oily. So that's the definition of combination. You're normal everywhere else or even slightly dry everywhere else, but oily in the T-zone.
That's kind of what I'm gathering, because like normal and combination are kind of close.
Semi-close.
Combination would be like maybe you're a little oily in your T-zone, but dry elsewhere.
Right.
Which makes you...
Right. Or like I said, I mean, some people are... If there's varying degrees, even in the combination, right? You could be super oily in the T-zone and just sort of normal on the outside. Or you could be like fairly oily in the T-zone and dry on the outside. I mean...
all of that.
It's all possible. Yeah, that all falls under combination.
Go talk to your esthetician.
Yeah, and also you really should watch if you're questioning this, you really should watch my video about are you actually oily, because I talk a lot about the difference between being oily and being dehydrated, because a lot of people think they're oily, especially in the T-zone area, things like that, when actually they're dehydrated and not giving their skin the proper moisture, so your skin's overproducing oil. So, link down.
What does clean skincare mean?
Well, okay, the term clean in general is a newer term, meaning like non-toxic, all natural, blah, 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 blah.
Good things, right?
Sure. My issue with that is it's become a little bit of a marketing ploy. Just like all natural, just because something is all natural does not mean that it's necessarily good for you. I mean, like snake venom.
Yeah, that is
natural. Not good for you, right? Also, on the other side of that, just because something is man-made or like a chemical or made in a lab or whatever doesn't mean that it's bad for you. So that's my issue with it, is that it's sort of become like this buzzword that people just use to, you know, to sell things. So it's not that it's necessarily bad, but what I like to say is clean skincare, all natural skincare, things like that. They may be great, but like don't just take it at face value. Like look into it, see what it's, you know, is the quality of the product still good? Is the quality of the ingredients good? Is the company like good? They have integrity. The other thing too is that if you're looking to deal with an actual issue, you know, I always say with all natural skincare and stuff, it's like, yeah, that may be great, but if you're trying to like treat acne or you're trying to get rid of hyperpigmentation, like you may need a little bit more intense products. So something that's like a really simple, really easy, all natural kind of clean product may not do what you want. So that's my issue. It's like, doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, for sure, but all natural doesn't necessarily mean it's good, and it doesn't mean that it's going to work.
Last question. What is niacinamide?
Oh, you said it correctly.
I know, I didn't
So
say it
impressive.
correctly yesterday.
Niacinamide is tricky. Niacinamide is tricky because it is one of those products, or one of those ingredients, I should say, that is for so many things. Like, it does a lot for the skin. It's a variation of a B3 vitamin, okay? So there's different types of B3. So it's not actually the same as niacin, which is also a form of B3, right? Which you see in like cereal and stuff. Yeah. Not the same. One of the main things we were taught in school that niacinamide does is like it helps with oil production, which is very true. It does. It helps to kind of balance the oil production no matter what your skin type is. And it also helps to treat acne. You'll see that it's in a lot of acne products, niacinamide. But it does so many other things than that. I mean, the list, don't even think I could really tell you the whole list. It's like everything from helping new skin cells build, so it's good for like damaged skin. It's good for helping with like sun damage, preventing sun damage, preventing aging, fine lines and wrinkles, like helping with pore size because it's helping to...
Okay, so it's a good thing.
It is a great thing.
Is there a drawback to niacinamide?
Not really. I mean...
As in like how retinol, you can overdo it. Like
no, yeah, I see what you're saying. Not really. I mean, I think you could probably overdo it on just about anything, right? And just like anything, you don't want it to just be that one thing, right? Like I was just talking to a client or a colleague the other day about hyaluronic acid. Like it's a great thing, but like, do you only want to use hyaluronic acid? No. Like with food, do you only want to eat iron? No, right? You need like a balanced diet. It's the same thing with skincare, right? So you don't only want niacinamide in your products, right? You don't only want hyaluronic acid or vitamin C or vitamin K or all the things, right? So, but niacinamide is a fantastic ingredient. It does a lot of different things. A lot of times you'll see it in oil or acne products. But yeah, it's great. I wouldn't say there's necessarily a drawback to it.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
That's it.
You know what I learned today?
What did you learn?
You're really smart. You learn a lot of things.
Stop it.
And I really trust you with my stuff. Like, all my friends and family are like, hey, can you ask Maggie this question?
It's true, you do get a lot of those texts.
Hey, like, and they'll send me a picture of their products and be like, can you ask Maggie about this? I'm like,
thank you.
I'm proud of you.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Real space. Well, there you have it. That's the most Googled questions. Those are like recently Googled, like usually 2020 was what we were looking at, 2020 or this year. The most Googled skincare questions. So thanks for joining us.